I am consistently fascinated with the way the New Testament uses the Old Testament, specifically when you go back and you actually look at the text that's being cited. Let's talk about the book of Hebrews as an example. Hebrews consistently talks about priesthood, sacrifice, Day of Atonement language, drawing near to God, which goes back to kind of Leviticus, where Corban sacrifice actually even has this connotation of drawing near to God. And it uses a lot of themes, and it even quotes Jeremiah 31, and it's an interesting placement. So when you look at the sweep of Hebrews, I'm thinking specifically Hebrews 5 and onward, you have the Melchizedek priesthood being discussed, you have sacrifice and drawing near in God's presence in the Holy of Holies and the high priest and the Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur, and then you have Jeremiah sandwiched in between all of it, where it talks about Jeremiah 31 through 33 in the New Covenant. In the context of all of it around it, it almost sticks out like a sore thumb. Why is this here? What is this adding to the conversation? And I can understand the argument is that what they experienced in the Old Testament is not the fullness of what we experience now. That much is obvious. But past that, why are we talking about priests? What does Jeremiah 31 have to do with priests? What does it have to do with Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement? What does it have to do with the high priest and entering into the holiest place? What does it have to do with Hebrews 3 and 4, entering into that rest? Well, when you go back and you look, the high priest as a theme, it's not just a specific role or a function that needs to be fulfilled. This is someone who is called out from the people, who then takes it upon themselves to go into the holiest place. They're called to do this, right? This isn't just a self-declaration, but they enter the holiest place, offer the sacrifices that are supposed to be administered, and it's on behalf of the people. So the high priest is specifically someone who is taken out from the midst of the people, for the people, and in that calling, they are the ones who administer the sacrifice for the entirety of the house of Israel, for all of the people, so that when they return, the people who see the high priest have an assurance that the sacrifice was accepted and the entire house of Israel has been forgiven and made atoned. And Hebrews says that Christ does the same thing. So, his first appearing, he comes, he performs the sacrifice, he enters into the holiest place. Now we're waiting for another appearing where he comes out from the holiest place. Now we bring in Jeremiah 31. When you go back to Jeremiah 31, the passage starts in Jeremiah 29. It speaks of the exile. It speaks of a time of Jacob's trouble, which is sifting and recompense and chastisement. And then you have restoration and redemption at the culmination of Jeremiah 31. So this is about the full restoration of the people, all of them. Hebrews is not randomly quoting Jeremiah. The priest goes in, and the promise is fulfilled when the priest comes back out. Everything gets restored. So Hebrews' point here is that something has started that hasn't finished. They're not just citing Jeremiah 31 through 33. They're citing the entire context from Jeremiah 29 through the end of Jeremiah 31, possibly even Jeremiah 32, depending on how you want to read the prophetic chronology there. But when you bring in the whole arc, it is suggesting the exact same type of pattern. At the beginning of the passage in Jeremiah 29, something is taking place that has an ultimate fulfillment at the end of the progression of the thought that they don't immediately see, that in the beginning they have to wait. We have a high priest of the order of Melchizedek that not only died and offered himself as a sacrifice, but resurrected and then ascended. He's currently in the holiest place. We're waiting for him to reappear, and at his reappearing shall be the fullness of the prophecies of the prophets. All of the promises, all of the restoration, everything that we're expecting in the fulfillment with the bodily resurrection, all things being restored. The creation currently moaning and groaning shall no longer have to moan and groan because the sons of God have been revealed. All of that expectation. And if you don't bring the Old Testament context with you into the book of Hebrews, you're going to miss the entire argument.